More you sweat in the peace, less you bleed in the war.
I think the reason both of you go hand in hand, and the general perception is that we are living in this decade of hyper patriotism. All countries are seeing a rise in patriotic fervor.
We have a once in a generation kind of a leader who is leading the country right now, and that is our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. See, when the top is so firm, so focused, so relentless, that is when you gain the confidence.
From arm importer, we grew up to become the arm exporters. Today, we crossed the figure of 21,000 crore rupees of exports. Earlier, the army, the cantonment, the infrastructure was too meager. Stone pelting was an industry and it was a job for the youths there because they are in their formative stage, they are adolescent, they don't know between good and bad.
सर टूरिज्म के वजह से चाइना को अभी पता है इधर इंडियन आता है, नहीं तो वो खुद बोलता था ये चाइना है. सो आवर प्रेजेंस टेल्स द एनिमी और द एग्रेसर दैट दिस इज इंडियन टेरिटरी.
Government is so serious. It is almost very army-like. You think in a very focused manner. You are working diligently. You are working with the purpose of developing our nation relentlessly. Those attributes the army people are groomed into. Those attributes are now in the form of our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. They are now visible and tangibly visible in governance.
Welcome to today's episode of 42 Talks, where you get an answer to everything. Today's episode is very unique because today we are not interviewing one guest but two. One is borrowed from the armed forces, one is an active politician, and both of them have an overlap because they both come from the same regional locality. This episode was never planned like this, but sometimes great things happened with serendipity. We couldn't let go of the temptation to bring both these distinguished gentlemen on the same platform together. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Colonel Dilip Pandey and the elected representative from the Shivajinagar constituency, Mr. Siddharth Shirole, to today's episode of 42 Talks. Welcome to this episode of 42 Docs. We have a very unique situation. And the uniqueness is because for the first time, we have three people on this podcast. One of you is a distinguished gentleman from the armed forces. One of you is an elected representative of the people of Pune. And I am representing the citizens of Pune. And this combination has never happened before. So for this reason, this is a very unique episode. First of all, let me start by thanking both of you for your distinguished service to the society and the population of India. So you come from the armed forces. We are indebted to you for all your service that has led to this prosperous country to grow stronger.
Thank you.
And so you have been chosen by the people of Pune to represent our problems to the city. But the reason why both of us are together is because you have an overlapping territory. And we'll come and establish that point sometime later. To help the audience understand why the three of us are sitting together, if you can give a small introduction to your body of work, both of you, that would help. Siddharth, we would like to start first with you. What do you do? What motivates you to help the society over here? And just to set the disclaimer, I'm not going to patronize you at all. We are going to ask you very tough, hard questions because you're going to bring those questions back to your governance and help them solve for the city.
So basically, if I would like to kind of introduce myself, I'm a mechanical engineer. Post my engineering, I am running a restaurant business for the last 20 years, and post 2012, I entered politics, and through the BJP, I've been working for the last 12 years. I was elected as an municipal councillor in 2017 and a member of Legislative Assembly in 2019. So I've now completed 5 years as a legislator and 7 years in electoral politics. And all I wish to say that, I'm here, which I firmly believe is that I'm here to do good and not to do well. And hence, 12 years after joining politics, now the quest to do good every day is what fuels me and makes me energizes me to keep going. And I would in the eventually be would like to be known as a person who really made a difference and did a lot of good in the society.
सर हमारे सूत्र भी है जो सोसाइटी में बाहर गए। ये इंटरव्यू से पहले हमने बोला सिद्धार्थ जी अगर आ रहे हैं तो उनसे क्या सवाल पूछना चाहिए। मैं आपको एक फीडबैक देना चाहता हूँ उससे। हमने जब जब पूछा जो थोड़े से उम्र में बुज़ुर्ग लोग हैं जो सिटीजन है उनको पूछा सिद्धार्थ शिरोले जी के बारे में आप क्या सोचते हैं, तो द फीडबैक इज यू आर द क्विंटेसेंशियल गुड बॉय ऑफ शिवाजी नगर। दैट्स द फीडबैक दैट वी हैव गॉट। यू आर वेरी वेल मैनर्ड, यू आर वेरी सॉफ्ट स्पोकन एंड you bring a lot of intellect. So very happy to have you on this
Thank you.
platform for that reason.
Thank you so
So
much.
we'll move to you. So can you just tell us, you've had a distinguished career. One thing that when I read your bio that comes to my mind is the war doesn't start the day the bullet is fired, and you are one of the reasons because you are handling the back end, the supply chain, the preparation that keeps us war ready at any given point in time. But I do not want to do any injustice to your introduction. So if you can tell us what has been your illustrious career with the armed forces, that will set the tone for the chat today.
I will start with that. More you sweat in the peace, less you bleed in the war. That is the ethos, or that is the principle on which my organization works. Now, going for my introduction, I am Col Dilip Pandey. I am born and brought up in Kirki. My initial schooling was at Kirki. Then I had my high school at S.M. Joshi High School, Golibar Maidan. I graduated from Modern College, Shivaji Nagar in 1986. And I did my graduation in statistics. So I am a man of numbers, and luckily I'm in the field. I'm in the field of supply chain management, and my qualification it complements my profession. I joined the army in June 1988, and I hung my uniform in November 2018 after 30 years, or you say 3 decades of service in various kinds of terrains, in various kinds of appointment with various other parts of the army as well.
So thank you for that introduction. I think the reason both of you go hand in hand, and the general perception is that we are living in this decade of hyper patriotism. All countries are seeing a rise in patriotic fervor. That's basically the observation across the planet. But we had the first podcast, we had a very distinguished vice chief of the Indian Air Force come in, and that's kind of in my memory as we talk to you, Air Marshal Bhushan Gokhale. And in that particular period podcast, we talked about the rising geopolitical power of India. So you represent the ruling party of India right now. Why do you think, what is the motivation, what is the thinking in the BJP right now that kind of gives us this bravado, if I may dare to say, to go and say that, hey, it's India's time now, listen to us. What is the inside thinking in BJP right now?
I think we have a once in a generation kind of a leader who is leading the country right now, and that is our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. And the way we have seen him lead the country in the last 10 years, I don't think history has seen such leadership ever before in India, and the kind of the work ethic, the clarity in thought, the execution ability is again it's time tested now, and it is relentless. Continuously in so many directions. In the last 10 years, our country has progressed in all the sectors that exist or that matter, and hence we are truly when we reflect back where we were at 2014, and now we see where we are at 2024, and where we are heading into 2029. I see that that is one of the most primary reasons that BJP is through our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji is taking our country to higher levels, or we have a global recognition now. We have reformative changes happening in our country, and that is why I feel that we are, we have so much to look forward. That never used to happen before. I feel I was growing up in my during my college days, and I never had this feeling that that I have something to look up about our country. It in the 90s or in the 95, the pride for our country, that was missing somewhere because the governance was not serious. Now with this serious governance and the leadership, able leadership of our prime minister, I think the national pride has grown by multifolds, and the anticipation of a Vikasit Bharat really excites. It excites me and excites so many of Indians. And you must be traveling abroad. You must have also noticed that there's so much of anticipation about India. So I think there are too many positives. This is what prima facie I would like to mention as of now.
Where's the internal confidence coming through? मतलब अगर आप देखोगे Mr. Jaishankar, he goes outside India and he gets a superstar welcome. So there must be some internal confidence coming
Absolutely.
from some reason. So
Absolutely.
what are those?
We have such a strong prime minister. See, when the top is so firm, so focused, so relentless, that is when you gain the confidence. Everybody else gains that confidence that, yes, you can go out and bat with a free mind because you have such a great leader backing you. So I think that one, once in a generation leader, I can reiterate, is making all the difference that, matters. And that is why we are, that is where the confidence has born, even, at a higher level in the leadership and also in the citizen of India, that, yes, we belong. And we belong here, and we have a major contribution to do, and we are the best. So I think that is where the confidence is coming from, our Prime Minister Narendra Ji Modi.
Super. So I'm going to do a test, truth test with you. I mean, every Diwali we see Prime Minister Modi is in Siachen spending time with the armed forces. Again, I'm coming from a very apolitical standpoint. I do not want to patronize or bring these things, but I want you to tell us the truth from the armed forces perspective. Has there been a big shift in the way people in the armed forces have started performing in the last 10 years? Was there a different mindset before? Like, what's the truth?
The truth is that, we just mentioned about the leadership, this is born once in the generation in the India. I will say it is born once in the generation in the world also. Today, everybody is looking up to our Prime Minister for some kind of guidance, intervention, some kind of support at the international level. Coming back to the national level, I will start with one very simple example of OROP. You people must have heard a lot about this, read a lot about this.
One rank, one pension.
One rank, one pension. The army has been fighting for this for last 70 years. We got independence in 1947. In 2014, I recall one rally at Rewari, where it was announced that once we come to the power, it will be implemented. So this long pending demand for 70 years, it was implemented, and it has benefited. It is a very major HR aspect, human resource aspect, because in the army, a person gets recruited at the age of 16, 17 years. He completes his training at 18 years of service. Then he joins the army, he works for 16 years, say around 34, 35, he retires. His pension is fixed. Today, the average expectancy of life is 67 years. So he is going to draw that pension for next 32 years. Just you see the inflation rate. Suppose he retires today. Today we are in 2024. His pension is about 30,000 rupees or 35 hypothetically. And 35 years from now, he keeps getting the same pension with little increment of the 2 DAs in a year. It is not going to meet his financial needs 35 years from hence. So this was one major thing that happened in the army, in the HR aspect. Coming on to the other aspects also. I am from the field of supply chain management, so I've got great insight about this subject. Coming to the armament and ammunition. Earlier, we had the ordnance factories, we have the private sector undertaking that were supplying us all the arms and ammunition, and we were dependent on the foreign countries for our imports. Whatever is not being supplied by our captive industries.
We are the largest importers at that
No,
point
we
in
were
time.
the largest importer at that point of time. And what I have experienced that this set of government, the ministers, they are working in a very efficient corporate style. CEO being the prime minister. And after that, all the ministers, they are the best in their field. Means from arm importer, we grew up to become the arm exporters. Means today, we crossed the figure of 21,000 crore rupees of exports. Today, in our supply chain management, the entire inventory, it is automated. Earlier, we used to work on the manual mode. Manual mode, then you are not working real time. You are not aware about the requirement of your users because I am responsible for my user to supply them their requirement. It is in the manual mode. You get all your correspondence in the manual mode. So that has been eliminated. Everything is online. So there's a real time inventory management system that is existing in the army.
So a big question is coming to my mind right now.
Yeah.
The Indian army by itself is one of the largest by manpower in the world. What are we? 3
we are
million?
no, we are the third largest army.
Yeah, we are the third largest. If I just considered the ordnance factories, you're telling me that there are 23 ordnance factories across India, which
There are more than 46 ordnance factories and few PSUs. Means all the ordnance factories specializing into a particular range of product.
Yeah.
And PSUs like one at Bangalore, they manufacture these specialist vehicles.
Yeah.
Some is into the electronics, some into the other field.
yeah. So the question is, those itself will be employing a few lakhs of people, right? Now, when you're telling me that a change of habits happened, now we run very small companies with tens and twenties of people, and to bring a culture shift is a big challenge. You're telling me that this is a HR nightmare to change the habits of lakhs of people. How is this getting managed? Why is this happening?
Now, see, some kind of restructuring modification into the structure was carried out. Into the, means after that, they were given the power. They were given the power, and simultaneously their accountability was also set in. So these things, means unless you give them the power, you cannot set in the accountability. When we see the culture that is developing in the country, that is developing into the government, so one is bound to adopt that culture of efficiency, that culture of patriotism, that culture of ownership. Now, today I'm wearing this tie. Means you see CFED is written. This tie was presented to me in 1990. This shows that I have the ownership with CFED Kirki. It is a unit that is dealing with the management of the tank. When I'm wearing this tie, so I have the ownership with this. I have the ownership that its reputation is kept high at every point of time. So accordingly, when restructuring took place, good people were placed into the hierarchy. They were given the powers. They were made accountable, and they were given a lot of freedom. Today, they are delivering very good result. They are meeting the indigenous requirement. They are into the export also, and the way things are progressing, we may be one of the major arms exporter in another 5 to 10 years. Means today we have touched the figure of 21,000 crore. It may go to 1 lakh crore in another 5 years or even more.
So according to you, what was the biggest change after the change of regime? Because we are talking about change of regimes. So what was the biggest highlight for you? You mentioned 370 before we got onto the podcast, and everybody acknowledges that that was a groundbreaking thing. You have stayed in Kashmir for a long part of your tenure. What do you see as the biggest change?
In 1990, I was in Kashmir. You all must have seen the movie Kashmir Files. I have seen that happening on the ground in 1990. So that is why when I speak or discuss with the people who are disillusioned, who are brainwashed, or who are not ready to accept the reality, I tell them, let us have a discussion on this. Let us have some kind of logical discussion on this. Means when you exhaust of all your logic, I will give you one logic that I faced, I experienced, I saw this happening on the ground. So you have to accept that thing. You need to learn from somebody else's experience. If you don't, and you keep experimenting, then you are a fool. You are going to be harmed with that process. So 370 abrogation is a very, very major step, very major process that took place in the history of the India.
So what I understand is that the whole 370 exercise was really hush-hush. The opposition would always pick out those issues in the parliament, but till the last day it got announced, nobody knew this would really happen. It almost looked like a fiction. I want to ask you, what was the behind the scenes? Were you aware of this? Were you told to prepare for this event? Were you mobilizing some resources in Pune, knowing that something big is going to happen in Kashmir?
Not at
Do you
all.
have any insider view?
Not
there?
at all, not at all. It's just that, with the leadership that we have in India now, there is complete secrecy because, and secrecy to the next level. Because if you want to do good and what is right for the country, then there should not be any, leakages in information to whomsoever it may be. So, in and all, it was what everybody wanted in our country, and it was promised by our prime minister, promised by the BJP, and we did it. So it was it just like you saw it on television. We were also seeing it on television with a lot of pride that this is actually happening in our country, which is we have visualized for for so many decades. We wanted it. So there's nothing as such that they do it, and they do it with precision, like how the army works. I think it's absolutely
it was a surgical strike on the opposition, I will say. Like when it was being discussed, the bill was presented into the parliament and into the upper house, and it went for the signature of the president. It came like anything normal. Means everything was so cool, calm and systematic in the city. And I will quote another example. When the verdict of the Ram Janmabhoomi came, I got a call from my house कि ऐसा एक को decision आया है, be careful. Means that time I was at Juna Bazaar. Juna Bazaar, that is a slightly different demographic composition.
Juna Bazaar in Pune.
पुणे जूना बाजार अपना यहाँ पे RTO के बगल में मैं वहाँ पे था, and the things were so calm and quiet. Means this is the management, this is the control.
सर आप जब ऑर्डिनेंस के बारे में बात करते हैं, आई जस्ट वांट टू कम टू द मेन पॉइंट. At the end of it, the economic power is the most highest power. I mean, if you are economically strong, everybody respects you. But at the same time, there should be a deterrent power, which is the armed forces. Actually, जो last guest हमारे यहाँ पे आए थे, जो Air Force से थे, he made a very strong statement. He said, I don't like the word that we call ourselves defense forces. Defense means कोई आने वाला है and I'm going to shield myself is the message I gave out by calling myself defense forces. Called me armed forces. Armed forces means I have everything that I will do to protect myself, but I will not hesitate. That seems like the new flavor of the story.
New flavor and the new approach and the new mindset. Like earlier, the Prime Minister's house, it was being called as Race Course Road. अभी उसको बोलते हैं लोक कल्याण मार्ग. देखो, see, thing is the same, road is the same. Means length, breadth, thickness of the road has not changed.
प्रधान सेवक की तरह
प्रधान सेवक की तरह, मतलब this is how the India is transforming now.
It almost looked like we were defending ourselves from stone pelters in Kashmir at some point in time. You have some very interesting anecdotes about that. More interestingly, you kind of enlightened me to the economics of stone pelting.
See, stone pelting was an industry. It was an industry. And it was a job for the youths there, and it was a job because those innocent, because they are in their formative stage, they are adolescent, they don't know between good and bad. उनको बोलो भाई आपको 500 रुपये मिलेगा, you come for the stone pelting, they will go for the stone pelting. So the government did one very good job. They took the legal action, they tracked the fund flow, they choked the fund flow. Once, if suppose you are on a ventilator and I remove the oxygen, then you are dead. Accordingly, the stone pelting also came to a abrupt end. I will say abrupt end because the fund flow was totally stopped.
But if we have such a big armed forces presence over there, how could they just continue to do what they were doing? Because that's very, I mean, sitting here in Pune, it's very hard to imagine that we don't have control over situation.
See, those stone pelters or the citizens or the civilians staying over there, they are the part of the country. They are not alien, or they are not enemy to us. They are part of us only. Only the thing they are brainwashed. They have not been guided well. They have not been managed well. You must have seen some violence activities taking in the post the assembly elections in J&K. Lot of militant activities are taking place. They are trying. It is because they are not able to digest the success of the election. This time voting percentage was very high, And if you analyze the voting also, BJP got very good number of votes. Only the thing, it has to break that threshold so that number of vote it gets converted into the seats.
Talking about elections, let's make this conversation a little interesting. Let's make it a tri-party conversation, a civilian, a elected member, and the armed forces. And it becomes interesting for a city like Pune because it's a strategically important city to the country, I would say. We have got institutions of extremely high strategic importance, like the ordnance factory in Khadaki. So it might fall under your constituency, as I understand. We have DRDO, we have NDA, we have the Southern Command, we have 2 cantonment boards within the city. Now, as a civilian, I look at all of these when I was growing up in awe. Oh, Pune has this whole lot of military. We have INA, not very far from you. Now, you might have a very different challenge because the army behaves like its own mechanization. And what I understand is if it's anything to do with the army, you can't, as a civilian, go in and do things. How are the three of us navigating this confusing situation?
And I think everybody is in their own place for a reason. Because army is the way that army is, because it is meant to be that way. As civilians, as a civilian, we have seen, we see both the sides, government also, and army also functioning in different ways. From the government within, I see that, there is a particular reason that we want these things to happen. But when you interact with the army, they have a larger perspective. Their entire perspective is of protecting our country in each and every way. So that is how they think. They have been molded to think that way for decades and decades. And hence, we have to coexist. Now, the only thing that has changed probably is that, the way governance is being looked up by the army. That is also, the perspective has changed because the government is so serious. It is almost very army-like. You think in a very focused manner. You are working diligently. You are working with the purpose of developing our nation relentlessly. Those attributes that, probably the army people are groomed into. Those attributes are now in the form of our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. They are now visible and tangibly visible in governance, and that is why the communication between the army and the government is becoming more better and better as the years pass by, and it is a pride for a civilian that such a era is we are going through such a era after so many ages.
I'll get a little more specific on this. And I'll talk about, because we are talking about modernization, indigenization, like a lot of local manufacturing happening for the defense forces. So you are sitting at the pinnacle of that. I'll tell you a personal challenge. I run an innovation firm, and often we will discuss what do we want to build next. And when we hear about Make in India and make your own defense things, we say, oh, let's come up with ideas for the defense forces. Now, Siddharth, you will know that we are surrounded by such a beautiful ecosystem of manufacturing in Pune that if I come up with an idea, it will not be hard for us to do it. My challenge, sir, is that we don't know what should we build. For example, when we look at user-centered design, like what does the army really want?
See, for that, we have got a mechanism. There are platforms. There's a lot of seminars or the workshops that are being conducted. That is telling you what is the requirement of the army. So, the army is opening up to the for the civil industries, and it is the motto. It is the motto of the government. You might have seen one big seminar that happened at Moshi ground about
the Defense Expo.
Defense Expo.
Oh yeah.
So this is the bridge. This is the platform where the civil industries, a small entrepreneur, a medium scale entrepreneur, they come on the common platform with the army, and they know the requirement.
So I was totally unaware of these platforms, but I think as as the startup ecosystem. So as a citizen of Pune, my request to you would be to kind of figure out more such avenues to bring young entrepreneurs, young innovators on a platform with the armed forces, the institutions in the city, so that we can have a healthier dialogue. I think you could probably play a big role in facilitating those questions.
In fact, there was one such a big seminar that was held at the level of the command headquarters. The army commander, he took the inaugural address for that. Lot of big industries, they were invited for that seminar. It happened about 3-4 months back at the auditorium of the command headquarters. The things are happening only. The thing maybe you are not aware, but the affected people, they are aware, they are actively involved into that, and results will be very encouraging.
Both of you have a very close relation with the Khadaki part of your geography. So you grew up there. It now is under your constituency. So is there a question you want to ask him as your elected representative?
In fact, I have seen Kirki for last 60 years. Maybe I was born 60 years back. Maybe I know I've seen Kirki for last 55 years. Means what I understand, means at the age of 5 years you understand. So I've seen the traffic congestion growing in Kirki area, and what are the plans of the municipal corporation or at the level of the state government to alleviate that traffic problem?
So, primarily what we have done is that the old Mumbai-Pune highway, that is now widened. So that is the main road that, leads us to Khadaki. And you can, come to Pune and go to Mumbai. So that has been widened. You must have seen in the last 5 years. That work has almost finished now. With the Jai Hind Talkies, it was, it had held for some time. That is done. The Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Road or the Elphinstone Road is also now getting widened. The funds are ready. Soon the road widening procedure will begin. We have seen the bridge from Bhopkil to Khadaki. So that is also recently.
In fact, it was a very long pending demand.
So that has been.
I grew up, I know. I was a student. I joined the army and I completed. But it's a credit to the present setup of governance that it had happened.
So that has been expedited.
It had been now functional.
Exactly. Now it is done. So we expedited it and now it's open. That is one of the important things. Also, with now the merger of the PMC and the Khadaki Cantonment Board happening soon, I think the citizens of Khadaki will be getting all the facilities from the Pune Municipal Corporation, which is the much need of the hour, because the major issue in Khadaki, providing civic amenities in Khadaki is the funds, that the availability of funds. Pune Municipal Corporation being such a well-to-do municipal corporation,
Rich corporation,
and here you have to struggle for funds and the permissions, the NOCs. So apart from the land that the A land that army will always have it in their possessions, all the other land where citizens are staying will be now included in the PMC, and that will really elevate the the standard of the feel of governance that the citizens of Khadaki are missing. And I am very in anticipation of that day when this merger will happen and basic civic amenities will be provided on a much better, much deserved standards that citizens deserve.
It will be a big relief, because I am seeing Khadaki for last 55 years, and if that happens, that is going to really, people will really appreciate those who are living in Khadaki now.
Yeah. We are looking forward to it.
So what are the big dreams that you have for Pune, and what do you think will happen in the next 5 years?
I think that is a very vast question, but I am here to play my role as an elected representative. I would like to make a difference by, tomorrow should be better than yesterday. That is my simple objective that I work with. And all the infrastructure projects, urban renewal challenges that Pune is facing, may it be water, may it be traffic, may it be environment, may it be sewage treatment plant, waste management, all public transport. These all projects are now up and running. Like 24/7 project is running in the entire city, that will take care of water supply. Sewage treatment plant will take care of the rivers not getting contaminated. the public transport. We have electric buses running. We have the metro network, spreading by the year. Almost 17 metro stations are there now will be there now in Shivaji Nagar. We have major infrastructure projects going on, with the ring road going on in and around Pune. The airport already at Logao has been widened. Uh, Also, the work at Purandar will begin soon. So it is a very optimistic time for Pune, and the PMRDA. That region has been now developed on a larger scale. The development plan is at the final stage, waiting for clearance. So I think it's on very the next 10 years is a very important era in the history of Pune and the Pune region. And with the kind of projects that have been implemented by the BJP from 2014, now it is time that it is all you will see it coming up and being implemented. So it's a very exciting time that I see for Pune in the next 5 years. And Pune, we are facing or engaging with the challenge of urban renewal very professionally, thoroughly, with a purpose in mind that more and more people should come to Pune as the years go by, and yet Pune should be able to handle that inflow with the infrastructure that we deserve, and that is on track.
So I have one last question before we relieve you. And this is apolitical. This is not related to the defense forces or anything. Very few people, I read it in the newspaper that you actually received a President's Award for one of the best speeches you have made in the House. We would like to know more about that, and when do we get to hear you next? Because we would love to hear that.
See, I realized that was my first time as an MLA, and 5 years I have not made any spectacular speech in terms of oratory. I have been only pinpointed, short speeches, but the issues were very important, like the water hyacinth issue that I have raised, maybe the crime, increase of crime on hills that I have raised, or probably the construction activities that go on in the morning or late through the night that I have raised, or probably there's no chicken and mutton segregation, processing plant in Pune, in a city like Pune, that I've raised. So I realized that it's the content that matters in oratory. It is not your flair of speech, and that was recognized. And that is why I was awarded. I received an award at the hands of the president, and I feel validated, and this journey will continue. I will keep raising the right issues at the platform where it matters the most, and I am sure that with so many issues being resolved whenever I've raised issues, in the future also, I will be an important part of resolving so many urban renewal issues by raising the right points at the right platform.
In fact, I remember one incident I read in the newspaper, is the traffic congestion at Ganesh Khind. I think you had a combined meeting with the collector, with the commissioner and everybody, and made some changes into the traffic routes, and that elevated the problem to a very large extent. I am very happy that public representative like you, who had vision and who is really involved. Otherwise, man, I think your style is also the corporate style of working. Take the concerned people, take the affected parties on the ground, and find the solution. And that solution really worked, because otherwise there was congestion of about half an hour.
Yeah.
But it reduced to 5 to 7 minutes.
And soon I'm happy, so that before I leave, in January 2025, that flyover will be complete, and in June 2025, Shivaji Nagar Hinjewadi Metro will be up and running. So we have much better days in terms of traffic, decongestion to experience in the coming.
Now, I will correct you slightly. You said yesterday was, you want to make tomorrow good. So yesterday was good, today is better, and tomorrow should be best, and day after should be outstanding.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Wish you the very best. May the choice of democracy show its power. All the very best for your campaign.
Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.